What's up, VC? This is Brad from H2Vinyl. So at the beginning of the year, I had a list of most wanted albums that I wanted to collect, that I wanted to snipe for this year. 12 out of a list of 17 I was planning. Well, life, I'm not going to get into it, life didn't let me collect all 12, but I did get 8. And I haven't shared that eighth one with you. And so on December 31st, I decided, let's do that, because, well, it's almost 2019 and I don't want to do it. That'd be kind of depressing that I did it in 2019. So, I'm really excited about this one. Don't have a whole lot to say. I'm going to let the album speak for itself. I know as I was doing needle drops for this album, I was very hard pressed to find the specific portions of song that I wanted to give to depict this album, the variety and the dynamics that this album has. And so I've decided that I'm going to do longer needle drops. We're talking a minute, maybe a minute and a half each, just because this album is epic to me. This is the most desired album that I had for this year. I've mentioned this album in the VC before for Andy Borders, also known as Andy's Vinyl Den back in the day. He had a contest of the seven Deadly Sins contest, and what was the album that I most desired for my collection? This one was that. And didn't find it in the wild. I went on Discogs and I think I found a US seller. There are 2 variants of this album on vinyl. There are a 4 LP set and a 2 LP set. I couldn't really distinguish what that 4 LP set would do for me any more than the 2 LP, and the 4 LP set is, you know, up into $200 or $300 range. The 2 LP set is a whole lot less. But let me get into it. I'm going to show this album. This is my favorite album by this artist. I've been listening to this artist since 1998. And this is Uncle, War Stories. This is their 3rd album. James LeVay is the main component of Uncle. He brings in a whole lot of artists to help balance out different aspects of each album. The first album, Science Fiction, he brought in DJ Shadow. Second album, he brought in Sasha. He brought in names of artists are escaping me, but in this album, which came out in November 2007, I didn't even know Uncle had another album out, and I was at it's called Disney Springs now, but at the time it was Downtown Disney. It's just kind of a free shopping area in Orlando. Going there is free. Stuff in there isn't free. Well, anyway, there used to be a Virgin Megastore there, and I liked going in. I mean, I wasn't buying vinyl at the time, so I liked to see what was new, and this cover, it's in the shrink, but this cover I gravitated to it, and immediately saw that it was Uncle. I'm like, I didn't know they had another album out. Their second album came out really bad with years, 2002 to 2004, somewhere around the time where I moved to Florida. I think it was before I moved to Florida though. So I want to say 2002. That's Never Neverland is the name of that album. This came out November 2007. I found it soon after because it was still in the new listen to area, and I listened to 2 or 3 tracks and knew I had to get it, and I got it. Fell in love with this album. This album would definitely be in probably my top 10 albums, and the crazy thing, as I learned more about this album before making this video, you know, the last couple of months I've been just kind of looking at like who did what on this album and those kind of things. The crazy thing is, this is actually partially a Queens of the Stone Age album, an Eagles of Death Metal album, before I knew either of them. It's kind of fun. The big thing for this album for me, Josh Homme. Back in the day, I had no idea who Josh Homme was, but he has some lyrics on the third track, the second song, third track, called Restless. Does a great job with that. I didn't really know anything about Queens of the Stone Age. I only heard one song on a video game. Knew I liked the song, but this is really my first exposure to Homme as an artist. I just was like, who is this Joshua Homme guy? Or Homme? I don't know. But I really loved the song. And then at some point I made the connection. I'm like, wait, that guy sounds like the guy that sings Little Sister. About the same era, 2005, 2007. And yeah, it made that click one day where I'm like, well, I like this song a lot. I'm going to start looking this artist up, Josh Homme, and oh, well, maybe I'll start listening to the Queens of the Stone Age now. I remember them. And so Brian O'Connor does bass. Josh Homme plays guitar on another song. I forget which song. Lawless, I think. I don't know. This album, so Brian O'Connor has played bass for Eagles of Death Metal in the past. Was diagnosed with, I think, cancer and had to step down. I think he's doing better now. David Ketching, who also plays guitar with Eagles of Death Metal and has played guitar with Queens of the Stone Age as well, is on this playing synthesizer and guitar. The crazy thing is, and I don't know how any of this went down. I don't know if James LeVay met with Dave Ketching or if he met with Josh Homme. This was recorded in Joshua Tree, California, at Rancho de Luna. Let me make sure I got that right. Yeah, Rancho de la Luna, which is the studio that's owned by David Ketching, studio that often Josh Homme uses, Queens of the Stone Age, Eagles of Death Metal. This album was recorded there. So I don't know how it went about, but I imagine James LeVay either went to David Ketching and said, you know, I'm going to need a bassist, I'm going to need a guitarist, someone for vocals, and I can only imagine Dave say, yeah, I got a couple of guys. Or Josh Homme saying, yeah, I think I could fill that. So, really kind of cool. As much as I love this album, really cool that the influence of Queens of the Stone Age that's on here that I didn't know about. I just knew Josh Homme was on it. But that whole kind of kinship of Queens of the Stone Age makes it through. Another thing that I mentioned earlier was the dynamics on this album. I won't get the albums out, and this is still in shrink wrap, so I wish I could open this up to show, but I'm not going to. But the cover is just very vibrant. And then the custom labels, and I don't think I can show it, so I took a photo. I hope that helps with it. But the vinyl was done at Record Industry, same who do they're in the Netherlands, same that do music on vinyl pressings. This is top-notch European quality vinyl, and I'm not going to get the other album out, the other LP out, but the dynamics on this album, the striping on this album is incredible. You move from the loudest you can muster to the softest orchestral, almost synthesizer, kind of this haunting vocal, and even choir, and it's just flat out beautiful. And I've enjoyed this album for a decade now, over a decade now, and it's just incredible, incredible. So enough talking from me. I'm going to do some needle drops. Again, they're going to be longer. I want to make a shorter video, a me portion, to give this this album the true representation that I love, and I'm really, really glad to have it in my collection. And here are those needle drops from one of my favorite albums. Here they are.
And I stand inside today at the edge of the future, and my dreams all fade away. I have burned my tomorrows, and I stand inside today at the edge of the future, and my dreams all fade away.
Flow
that I've been crawling